he worked to become a reputed tycoon in the Wall Street. Everyone respected him for his opulence, but on that day, the influential man deprived him of everything, making him a pitiful object unaware he will fight back for revenge. Welcome back to Paramount Recaps. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me. Jack and Kate have been together since their college days, and they are at JFK Airport, hugging tightly. Jack is about to head off for a year-long internship with Barclays in London. Kate, anxious about their relationship, expresses her fear that their bond might not survive the distance. Jack, on the other hand, reassures her that they have it all planned out. She'll be attending the top law school in the country, and he'll be gaining valuable experience with his internship. But Jack, confident in their relationship, kisses her and insists their love is strong enough to endure the separation. Then, he leaves. Fast forward 13 years, and Jack is living in a swanky apartment, having just spent the night with a woman named Paula. He's keen to see her again that evening, but she reminds him that it's Christmas Eve, and she plans to spend it with her parents. Jack, now the president of a Fortune 500 company, gets ready for work. On his way down in the elevator, he runs into his neighbor, Mrs. Peterson. In the lobby, the doorman Tony greets him, and Jack casually tosses out some investment advice before heading off to work in his Ferrari. At work, Jack is in a meeting with other directors, discussing trading options and how to handle institutional clients. He notices one of the board members, Alan, seems distracted and calls him out. Alan admits he was thinking about his family, having promised to be home for dinner because it's Christmas Eve. Jack, focused on the upcoming merger, tells Alan that he might have a bit of tunnel vision, but given the magnitude of the deal set to be the largest merger in US corporate history, everyone needs to be fully engaged. Alan apologizes, but Jack insists he should be excited, not sorry. After the meeting ends around 8:30, Jack gets a note that Kate, his college girlfriend, tried to reach him. He explains to his assistant that Kate was the girl he almost married 13 years ago. His assistant is surprised to hear Jack was ever the marrying type and starts to call Kate for him, but Jack stops her, not wanting to rekindle old feelings by accident. Just then, the chairman, Peter, walks in, and Jack asks him for advice on dealing with an old girlfriend who suddenly reappears. Peter suggests cutting ties, much like handling taxes. Later, as Jack is leaving for the day, he wishes Frank, the company's security guard, a good night and heads home. On his way, he stops at a small store to grab some eggnog. While there, a man comes in with a lottery ticket worth $238. The cashier accuses him of having a fake ticket and refuses to cash it. The situation escalates when the man pulls out a gun, but Jack steps in, offering a business deal instead. He proposes buying the ticket for $200, so the man can cash it elsewhere and make a quick profit of $38. The man agrees, and they leave the store together. Outside, Jack advises the man to avoid using guns and mentions that there are programs to help people like him. The mysterious man cryptically responds that Jack brought this situation upon himself, then disappears. Jack heads home and goes straight to bed, but when he wakes up the next morning, something feels off. He's startled to find a woman, who he soon realizes is Kate, hugging him in bed. Moments later, two kids burst into the room, jumping on the bed. Shocked, Jack scrambles out of bed, quickly dresses, and rushes out of the room. In his haste, he passes by Kate's parents, who are in the entrance. Confused and unable to find his Ferrari outside, he goes back in to ask where it is. Kate's parents, bewildered, say they never knew he owned a Ferrari and offer him their Cadillac instead. Jack then drives to New York City, relieved to see Tony outside his apartment building. However, Tony tells him he can't come in because he's not a resident, leaving Jack bewildered and frustrated. Mrs. Peterson then appears, and when Jack complains about Tony's strange behavior, she looks at him puzzled, not recognizing who he is. Jack, thinking they're both playing a cruel joke, becomes angry, driving to his office. There, Frank stops him, saying he can't enter. Jack, upset, insists he's the president of the company and points to a board listing the names of the directors, only to see Alan's name where his should be. Confused and angry, Jack storms out of the building and spots the mysterious man from the store driving his Ferrari. The man offers Jack a ride and hands him a paper bag to breathe into, mentioning that this kind of experience has made people vomit before. Jack demands answers, and the man cryptically explains that this is a glimpse of the life Jack could have had, and he won't return to his real life until he figures things out. Jack, still baffled, is handed a bell by the man, who then tricks Jack into stepping out of the car before driving away. Totally confused, Jack decides to return to Kate. However, when he gets to the neighborhood, he can't find the house. He asks a passerby, who turns out to be his friend Arnie, for directions. Inside Arnie's home, Jack sees photos of the two of them together, confirming that in this alternate life, Kate is his wife. Arnie talks about how lucky Jack is to have such a beautiful wife and a spacious 4-bedroom home. Back at the house, Jack is greeted by Kate, who is initially relieved but then frustrated when he explains he went to New York City, claiming that's where he actually lives and that he doesn't have a family. Kate, fed up with his strange excuses, leaves the room. Desperate, Jack starts ringing the bell he got from the mysterious man, hoping it might help, but only their daughter, Annie, comes in and takes it from him. Kate then tells Jack that he missed the kids opening their Christmas presents, leaving Jack apologizing. Later, they go to a party that Jack has been looking forward to all year. At the party, Evelyn Thompson flirts with Jack, but when they get home, Kate asks him to walk the dog, which he begrudgingly agrees to do. The next morning, Jack is woken up by the sound of a crying baby. He knocks on the bathroom door, asking Kate for help, but when there's no response, he opens it. Kate tells him it's his turn to get the kids ready for school and daycare. Jack, clueless about how to change diapers, gets some help from Annie, who notices he's struggling. She then curiously asks if he's really her dad, and Jack, trying to be honest, admits that he's not. She inquires about her real dad's whereabouts, and Jack, unsure, assures her that he'll be back soon. Annie, seemingly unfazed, stands on a chair to inspect his face and declares that the aliens in the mothership did a great job making him look like her dad. Later, Annie shows Jack where to drop off her brother Josh for daycare, and then she guides him to her school. Before leaving, Jack asks where he works, and Annie tells him he sells tires at Big Ed's. When Jack arrives at the tire shop, owned by his father-in-law Ed, he asks an employee where his office is. The confused employee points him to a small office, and Jack, now realizing the life he's living is far different from what he expected, starts piecing together that the Jack in this reality never went to London. That evening, Jack is watching TV when a news report comes on about the largest merger in US corporate history being announced. Jack, frustrated, shouts at the TV, claiming the deal as his own creation. Kate enters the room, turning off the TV and excitedly mentioning that the kids are asleep. Then she hops into bed with Jack, starting to kiss him. Jack, however, is too overwhelmed and instead comments on how beautiful she's become. Kate, flattered, goes to change into something more appealing, but when she returns, she finds Jack pretending to be asleep. The next day, while they're out shopping, Jack tries on an expensive suit that Kate thinks looks amazing on him. Jack insists on buying it, despite the $2,400 price tag, but Kate, shocked, thinks he's lost his mind. They start arguing, and the tension quickly escalates. Eventually, Jack gives in and decides not to buy the suit. On the drive home, as they talk, Jack realizes their life together has been shaped by a few significant events. They had an unexpected baby. He saved Ed from a heart attack and then started working for him. And eventually, they moved into their current house. The following morning, Jack wakes up and gets a baby bottle ready for Josh. When he returns, Kate surprises him with an anniversary gift, a suit. She eagerly waits for her gift, but when Jack doesn't have one for her, it becomes clear that he forgot their anniversary. Kate is hurt, and Jack promises to make it right. Later, while making chocolate milk for their daughter Annie, she tells him that her dad always does something special for her mom on their anniversary. Jack asks if he's ever taken Kate to the city, and Annie suggests it's a great idea. Soon after, Jack and Kate are in New York, enjoying a fancy dinner at an upscale restaurant. Jack invites Kate to dance, but she hesitates, thinking it's not the right place for dancing. Jack doesn't care what others think, and they dance anyway, drawing the attention and envy of those around them. Later, Jack opens up to Kate about how he feels like he's living someone else's life. He tells her how he used to walk around with the Wall Street Journal, feeling confident and in control, but now he feels lost. Kate admits she feels similarly. She asks Jack what he is certain about, and Jack responds that the only thing he's sure of is that he wouldn't want to be anywhere else but with her. The next morning, Kate wakes up to see Jack playing with Annie in the snow. Annie tells Jack she knew he'd come back and gives him a hug. That evening, Jack goes to a nearby store and encounters a mysterious man from before, now working as a cashier. The man comments that Jack seems to have figured things out, but Jack angrily tells him that he won't allow him to interfere with his life again. He insists that the man can't just come and go, messing with people's lives. The man calmly responds that a glimpse is always meant to be temporary. Jack pays for his items and says he has kids and is going home. Back at home, Jack checks on Josh and then on Annie, who briefly wakes up and asks if it's morning. Jack reassures her that it's not and tells her to go back to sleep, whispering that he's going back to the mothership. He goes into the bedroom and talks to Kate, asking her to promise that she'll remember him as he is now, because otherwise, it would feel like none of it ever happened, which he couldn't live with. She promises, telling him to go to bed, but Jack says he has one last thing to do. He takes their dog for a walk and lets it run free for a while. When he returns home, he tries to stay awake to enjoy every last moment, but eventually, he falls asleep. Jack wakes up in his old apartment and puts on casual clothes. As he's about to leave, he sees Paula at the door, who wishes him a Merry Christmas. Jack, confused, says it can't be Christmas and leaves. He drives to the house he saw in his vision and knocks on the door, but a stranger answers. When Jack asks if Kate lives there, the man says no. On his way back, Jack's assistant calls, reminding him that he's late for a meeting. Jack says he'll be there soon. At the office, Alan notices that Jack isn't wearing a suit and asks if he's alright. However, he quickly shifts to explaining that there's a crisis with the merger deal. Jack, feeling empty, agrees to talk with the parties involved to save the merger. In his limousine, Jack calls someone to get Kate's real address. He arrives and finds people packing up to move. He meets Kate, who explains that she's moving to Paris for work. When Jack asks if she's married, she says no. She then hands him a box of his old belongings, explaining that's why she reached out to him. Kate's assistant mentions that she's booked a flight for 7 o'clock, which Jack overhears. Kate turns her attention elsewhere, and Jack leaves. In the limousine, Jack tells his driver to take him home instead of to the business meeting. As he goes through his old belongings, he finds photos of him and Kate together. Realizing something important, he rushes to the airport to find Kate. When he sees her, he calls out her name and tells her that they have a house in Jersey, 2 wonderful kids, and a deep love for each other. He tells her that it might have been a dream, but it felt more real than anything else. Jack pleads with her not to leave for Paris, at least not that night, and asks if they can talk over coffee. Kate agrees, and in the final scene, they are seen talking and enjoying each other's company at the airport cafe.